Radio. Welcome back to the Me Too, the Big Secret. We are having a discussion about sexual abuse, sexual harassment, whether it be on the job, in the home, in church. A lot of people are like, what, church? Yes, it happens in church. It happens to children. Parents need to be aware. I would say not to put fear in you, but yes, to put fear in you. Because again, I myself do not have children, but I do have nieces and nephews. And I commend every mother and father who has to entrust someone other than themselves with their children every day. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you here for being so brave to speak up, to talk about your stories. I know it can be difficult to re-dig up old things, and it's tough, and I'm really glad that we're talking about it, because even things that happened so long ago affect us now, some way, shape, or form. And like a good friend told me the other day, it's time to heal and leave it where it needs to be. So again, if we can go ahead and get it up out of us for 2017, even though we still got to deal with it, but 2018 will be better and brighter. We are all even more family now. We're like a really special family. So we already know, if nobody on the outside understands, everybody here on the inside does. So I'm gonna continue around the room, because like I said, I am not trying to hold folks. I know y'all excited to get to work tomorrow, so y'all can start the weekend. So Lachelle, you want to share your story?
Sure, I'll be glad to share my story. Actually, I've always shared my story on Facebook anyway, but it just so happened, an incident happened at the folk festival, and where this man was taking pictures of young ladies' booties. So I'm about to bounce him, and my daughter and my friends who were around me, don't do it, you don't want to go to jail, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like going in on him, trying to bring awareness. And I even wanted to tell the father, hey, this man is looking at your daughter's butt, taking pictures. He's strolling through his phone, looking at the pictures, strolling through the area, finding more women to take pictures of. So that just brought back stuff. So the next day I'm on Facebook telling people, beware of your children in public places, especially at festivals or whatever, because a lot of people are having a good time, they're dancing, they are drinking, so they're not paying attention to the young people that they have with them, their children. So I stated on Facebook about this incident and how I am an advocate for child sexual abuse, because me too was abused. Before this hashtag even happened, I put it out there, and even before then. And Lisa reached out to me and actually shared with me her story. And thank you, Lisa, for entrusting me with that. But as a child, I believe I was about 5 years old. And to just let you know, I haven't told my family. They found out the same way everybody else did on Facebook.
Wow.
Because as a child, you just don't think about sharing that. You're too afraid. But I had an incident probably more than once as a child, maybe between the age of 5 and 8. And that was with a female relative who touched me inappropriately. And as a teenager, I guess when I started developing, a male family member felt he could touch me inappropriately. So I never told anybody until I got married I told my husband, because certain gestures and things triggered that, and I would just start crying, and I had no other choice but to tell. Another incident why I think I blocked it out for a long, long time until I became an adult, and I got involved in ministry in women's ministry, and we were going over some things, and I was driving home alone, and all of a sudden all these memories start coming back. And I had to just pull over to the side of the road, and I was crying profusely. And I'm like, Lord, why? I don't want to remember this. I don't want to remember this. Why are you bringing these memories back? And I just felt the Spirit was saying, in order for you to minister to others, and women, especially in women's ministry, you need to be healed. So that was my healing process. And from that moment on, you know, every time I get the opportunity, I would share, you know, that I had been inappropriately touched or molested. And like I said, I would say it on Facebook or stuff like that, and some of my family members, I didn't know. No, you didn't know. I didn't say it. I didn't tell you. But I am so, I think everybody who at a young age who are able to say that they had been molested and tell their moms and tell their parents and tell their relatives, because I was too afraid to do that at that time. And I haven't named anybody, but in a way I wish I could speak a name, because that person may be doing that to somebody else. And I'm still too afraid to even call out a name. But I will not stay in a room with that person over 5 minutes. And I'm thankful to God that I don't have to see that person on a regular. But that is my Me Too in the short version.
And I thank you for sharing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing. Indy?
Okay. In case y'all haven't figured out, I'm the cousin that she came over and talked to. But like I shared earlier, my experiences comes up in different parts of my life, different stages of development. And I'm carrying a baby, and so I have a lot of anxiety of bringing another spirit, another life into the flesh. And so I think that this is very important at this time to talk about it and to deal with it, because if I don't, it's going to come out some kind of way. But this is a healing space, and I'm grateful. I don't talk about it often. I have to be very comfortable, because, and I think you can probably relate, and of course my cousin can, when it occurs with a family member and when it occurs with someone of the same gender, it causes a whole lot of different issues. And it affects your sexuality, it affects your mindset, it affects your friendships. For a long time, I could not be friends with females. It was if a woman got too close to me, if a girl got too close to me, I became very uncomfortable, because I felt like that person was going to violate me, like my female relative violated me. And so, and you know, when you look back in retrospect, you understand things differently. But growing up, I thought I was crazy. I grew up thinking I was crazy. I thought that I was a hard-headed child. I was fast. I had problems, because I repressed a lot of my memory. The first instance that I remember, I was 4, and I was taken into the bathroom. That must have been the room of choice, probably at the same house that this occurred with my cousin. And I was told that this is what people do when they love each other. And because this was a relative, I trusted this relative. I looked up to this relative. And so from that point forward, my mindset and my thought process about what love was attached to a sexual act. So if I love a person, this is what I do to express that love. And so from that point forward, this is what I'm thinking, because this is what I was taught and told. And I really didn't realize anything was wrong with it until we were playing with another cousin one time. And I was like, hey, can we play the game that, you know, you and I, and shh, you know. And I said, well, why can't we tell so-and-so? You know, you said that this is what we do when we love. and I love you because you my relative, you know, and I love her because she my relative. Why? And so that's when I began to realize that something is wrong with this, because now it's a secret. And if it's a secret, it's a problem, you know. But even in that, I had a lot of shame and guilt because, and you know, and this was hard for me to deal with, and it wasn't until I was in graduate school. And I'm so grateful. I had a professor in graduate school who I was having a little nervous breakdown in class because I thought that I enjoyed what occurred between me and this relative, because it was something that this was our space. This is what we did. She told me that, you know, I love you and you love me, so this is okay. And so I got some type of enjoyment, kind of like you were saying with the attention. It wasn't sexual pleasure because I was too young to understand that, but I did enjoy the attention. And when I realized that this was something that was our secret and not everybody was involved in it, that made me the special, you know, niece. I was special to her. And so throughout adolescence and early adulthood, that thing messed with me because I'm like, what is wrong with me? Am I a sexual deviant? You know, and the older I got and the more I learned, I'm really questioning myself and asking, you know, why was I born this way? Why was I created this way? And my professor really, really helped me because we had to do a trauma timeline. And that was the first thing on my trauma timeline in that particular class. And she stopped the class. She ministered to me. She was no longer my teacher. She ministered to me in those moments. And I felt, I'm not saying it was total healing, but I felt a healing take place because I had an understanding about what was going on. And I understood that is what manipulators, molesters, abusers do. They will change your mind, and they will manipulate your mind and have you thinking something other than what God was created for your mind to be thinking in the first place. Yeah. And so I had to really, really retrain my mind because all those years I thought that I was enjoying those moments, and I thought that something was wrong with me. And that person who was responsible for me, and that was the hardest thing, because my mother trusted that person to take care of me and to watch after me. And she didn't do what she was supposed to do. And I remember, I think I was 6 or 7, and I went to my mom and I said, Mom, I want to talk to you, but I don't know how to talk to you. And I said, if something happened to me, if somebody did something to me, you know, what would you do? And she said, I'll kill them and I have to go to jail. And I was like, I can't tell my mom because I can't lose my mom. So that really deterred me from talking to my mom about it. But I carry so much that I didn't have to carry. To the point where in high school I was having panic attacks. I would be in the middle of class. We would be in English class. I'm reading. I'll just pass out. And nobody knew. I had to wear a heart monitor for like 6 months. Yeah. They didn't know what was wrong with me. They're doing all these psychological tests. But had I had the voice to say this is what happened to me, I would have understood things differently. And I think my life would have been different. You know, I don't regret, you know, certain things happening, but I do believe that I would have handled my first marriage differently. I would have been able to love my first husband differently and allow him to love me, because there was a point where I just wouldn't let him love me because I did not feel worthy of the love. So it's so many different aspects of my life that was affected. My self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-love, my ability to look at myself and really see what I was created to be in God's image, not this person who was a victim, you know. And so it continues to affect me, but just in a different way now. It's different now. I'm able to see it in a different light. And like I was saying, I'm just grateful for this space to be able to share with you all, because so many people are going through this. And at 4 and 5 and 6, you know, we're talking very, very young ages, stages of development where our minds are being developed and we're learning about the world. And I still have a hard time trusting people. I still look at people sideways like, are you really genuine? You know, what do you... And it's not that people are inherently bad. It's just when bad things happen to you, that is what happens. You know, you begin to put those walls up. So yeah.
And that is so true. And something you said too, like I have an issue with females too. Like I can't keep a female friend to save my life because for real,
do not get close.
Give me 24 hours and I will find something wrong with you. I promise you. You too. Everybody has got it. Everybody in here has got it. I have been all Saturdays. And you know, and to be
canceled our date.
To be honest with you, to be honest with you, that is a problem of mine because one thing I would do is I will make sure I push you away first before you can leave me. That's the first thing. And then number two, I don't hang out. I won't hang out because now I have this thing where I want to be by myself.
I'm gonna be on you now.
I don't want to. I don't go out like my comedy. I don't do comedy as much. I don't do as many hosts. I don't go to people's dinners. I don't even like when my cousin would have things like she would have potlucks and I probably lied about that. I'm like, girl, I don't like, and I don't, and it's really bad. Like if you call me, I am 9 times out of 10 I'm at home. I don't like to be around people, and for real, when I say this, it sounds bad, but I swear it's not as bad as it sounds. But it's gonna sound bad. I don't like people. I really don't. It's like I just have this thing, and I have bad trust issues, and it affects like my relationships with men. Even sometimes even thinking about sex, it like grosses me out. And it's like, even though it happened to a female, like the female part, I don't like girls, but then the whole sex act period, just thinking of a man just putting his stuff, in a way it grosses me out. But then on the other side, I have to get myself, okay, no, you a chick, that's what you want to do. You want to have booty duty, you want to have, that's what you want to do. And then, and again, it's really hard because it's hard for you to accept the love when you have it coming to you, because then again you want to know, is this real love? Because my family told me this was love,
right?
And now I feel like I'm messed up, So
if I may, help with that, because I had to go through a process. For me, it was men. Like, even though I had relationships, I was still uncomfortable around men. Especially if you were a male with authority and some type of power. I had a hard time looking you in the eye. I had a hard time with just being comfortable. I was very fidgety. I would be like, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And I had to really, I knew why, but I had to figure out a way to get healed from this.
Right.
And so I had to intentionally do things that made me uncomfortable to heal from that. Because, I'm an evangelist, I'm in ministry, I cannot walk around broken, I cannot preach, and I still have this wound. So, what I did was I began to just try to get comfortable around men, work with men, be okay with male friends, because I didn't have that many. And when I did feel the trigger coming, say, okay, this is just what you're used to being like because of it's how you were able to cope. You don't have to handle things like this anymore. What happened. It's not happening to you now. That's over. And I said, you deserve to be whole and healed. You deserve that. Mm-hmm. And I had to get over it because I didn't like any attention.
Yeah.
Any attention. I hated my body.
Yeah.
I would look in the mirror and I would try to put my hips together. I'm hippie.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I had to, it took like, I'm 33. It took like 30 years.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
Yes, I'm gonna be honest. When I was invited here, I thought I was gonna come in with all the answers and just solve all the women's problems. Being my little Bible, I thought.
Hold on, just a second. Okay. We have a call. Just want to make sure we don't miss them. Thank you. Welcome to Legacy Internet Radio. To Me Too, the Big Secret. Thank you for calling in. Who are we speaking with?
This is Edie.
Hey, Edie. This is my beautiful cousin from Baltimore. Hey, beautiful. How are you?
Hey, and hey, everyone.
Hi. Hi.
What you want to say, sugar?
First of all, I want to say, I hope each and every one of you can get up from that table wherever you're at and leave it where it's at. Because the majority of black women has been molested or has some kind of sexual abuse in some kind of form. And as a black queen, that's just another one of our wounds.
Right.
That's just what it is. And people are really sick. And girl, India, you hit that nail on the head, girl.
Who?
Once you grow older and you understand what it was, you know you ain't had this. Nothing wrong. People just sick. And those predators were developed to be that. Even with these pedophiles, homosexuals, a lot of these sexual crazy things, these was learned behaviors from our oppressors and things like that. So these are things that we brought into our homes and due to our children. And as time changes, and even with the kind of foods and things that we've eaten over the years, young girls are looking more fuller as women and it's catching the attention of men. Black men get molested, they feel gay, they don't want to say anything, so they over-sexualize women to feel manly. It's another one of these sad things that's a part of the black struggle.
Right.
And it's even when you get to some of the predators that maybe some of our fathers, uncles, brothers, the mother, auntie, whoever, she's in another tough situation because I'm losing two family members. So it's just another one of the things that keep the black family down, or the woman, the man, or it's just another one of those things that's in our life, unfortunately. That's another problem for us. But one thing I know about black people, we are resilient people.
Right.
We are very resilient. And like Indy said, once you get older and you understand, it makes it a lot better to deal with.
Right.
It makes it a whole lot better to deal with. And we done been through some things. And it all might not have been the same thing, but we have all been through some things. Just like with sexual abuse, I have a Me Too as well, but once I hear other people Me Too, I'm like, I really can't even, mine wasn't even that bad. Or it could have been that bad to me, or, you know, all of it is different. But I do feel like, in a lot of my studies, I do feel like over the years, like they say, times change, people change, and this sexual abuse has changed also. Because like I was telling Melissa not too long ago, even when some of our grandmothers, most of our grandmothers got 12, 14 children, they married at 16, and their husband is 30-something.
Right.
And in some way, it became normalized.
Right.
When we all in a house together. But sometimes you got cases where the mother died with a whole bunch of girls, and the father picked the youngest child. And this is history.
Right.
And it never was dealt with. It never was counseled. It was never, addressed. And it trickled down into today.
Right.
And it's just one of those things that just was kind of brought upon us, and another one of these bad things that we picked up, that we have to go through with each other, that we experience. Unfortunately,
Right.
our kids, or a family member or a loved one could be the perpetrator, and that's a whole nother mental breakdown in itself.
Right. Right.
So I'm just, hope that each and every one of you can just get up and understand that you did nothing wrong, or just don't let it take no more control or have any kind of part of you in a way that it affects you from actually living and not just existing.
Right. Okay.
But just living.
Cool.
So that's all I wanted to say, and it's just a sad thing, but
Right.
that was it.
Cool. Thanks, Edie. Love you.
I love you too, baby. Bye.
All right. Legacy Internet Radio. Welcome to Me Too, The Big Secret. What's your name and what's your question and or comment, please?
Hi, this is Keisha Allen. How you doing?
Hey, Keisha, we was waiting for you so we can get some of that hot berry tea, girl. Keisha, please, if you feel, could you please briefly tell us either your Me Too story, someone that you've known to go through that, or just what Me Too means to you?
Let me tell you, Me Too. When I was 13 years old, that is the first time I realized that something happened to me. I was raped by my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my favorite uncle. It was the one who I was always with. He's not my mother's brother. He's my mother's first cousin. So I used to babysit for him every day during the summertime. And he decided that I was going to be something different than a babysitter, which really scared me. 13 years old. His mother was downstairs. They lived in a triplex, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm from New York, so they lived in a 3-level building, like a duplex. His mother lived downstairs below him, and his brother lived upstairs above him. And on the porch were 2 of his other brothers, and he raped me in the house in the summertime at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
With all those people there.
Wow.
So that was the first time I got raped. I got raped 3 times.
Wow.
Not by this man. I got raped at 13. I got raped, date raped at about 19 years old with my daughter in the bed with me. And I got raped again in the Army when I was about 26, I believe. And that's the time I got raped and beat.
Raped and beat.
That was the worst. Raped and beat up. I got beat.
Okay. And now, Keisha, let me ask you that. Now, through your experiences, how has it affected your life?
It's very difficult for me to obviously maintain relationships. And that's male-female relationships. However, it's not, I don't think it's negatively affected me too much. What it has done for me on the other end is it's given me a lot of, what is the word I'm looking for? You know, for other people. I feel it's like empathy for other people. Now I can tell them, look, this happened to me, and it didn't keep me down. It gave me a warning signal about people and about the way that people can be.
Right.
I became a school teacher. I went to college after. I had my daughter first. I went to college. I ended up, you know, doing better than what I thought I would do. But again, I'm 53 years old, and I have never, ever, 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 ever been married.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that is one of the reasons why, because my level of commitment, although there, you know, it's like I'm lost in that area, just totally lost, because I don't know what to do, because what if,
right.
You know.
Right. Well, Keisha, I greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling in. I wish you were here. Of course, all of us need some of that hot berry tea, so we'll be calling you after the show, okay?
Yes, indeed. Give me a call. I love you.
Love you, boo. Thank you.
Love you, Keisha.
All right. Legacy Internet Radio. This is the Me Too, the big secret. Thank you so much for calling. What's your name and what's your question and or comment?
Calandria Jones.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
And a Me Too moment.
Oh, Andrea. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, honey.
It's Calandria.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
That's okay.
Okay, so tell me about your Me Too moment.
First, I want to tell you guys, salute.
Thank you.
Salute. And Miss Lachelle, love you. It's Calandria.
Love you back.
You there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Did you want to share your story?
I'm very proud of the black women that sit in that room today. And very honored to be a part of a group of females that have a crown that will continue to thrive and do some beautiful things in this world as it pertains to sexual abuse. Because at the end of the day, we all have a story to share.
Yes.
And some more dramatic than others, and some more stronger than others. But the one thing the Holy Spirit wants everybody in that room to know is that we are conquerors for a reason. And the Bible states that we are more than conquerors. And that sometimes the things that happen in our lives, they're there for a reason. I was abused from the age of 5 till I was 17.
Wow.
My oldest child biologically belongs to the man I call Daddy. And the deliverance that have happened in my life is beyond what I could express to God. Because at the end of the day, nothing that man did to me forfeited my blessing. Nothing. And that's what needs to be the other part of the story. The legacy is not just in the part of telling the story. The legacy is in the deliverance. Right. Because at the end of the day, as much as the enemy tried to do 1, 2, and 3 to destroy my legacy and destroy my pathway, God had another plan for my life.
Right.
And because God had another plan for my life, there was no way in the world, nothing that the enemy did would allow me to forfeit it. Mm. And so, you know, when you bear the child of your abuser, something happens to us spiritually when men decide or females decide to touch us in ways and awaken something in us long before we were supposed to be woken up. But the thing that I've been awesome and been blessed to be able to be a part of in the past 10 years of my healing process is that it makes me so much more insightful,
yes,
and powerful, impactful, and I'm able to touch people that no one else can touch,
yes,
because of my story.
Yes.
So you got 5, 10, 15 females in that room that can touch 20 other more females,
yeah,
little girls, because you have a story that's attached. It's one thing to say something happened, but it's another thing to say, I've been there, done it, I'm on the other side.
Yes, ma'am.
And every single one of you guys are a crown of evidence that you're on the other side. And the beauty is now you share that crown with those little princesses that are coming up and these little kings that are coming up, because we need them to know that at the end of the day, there's an other side to this.
Yes.
You know, we in our own community, the African Latino community, I'm Puerto Rican, and my mom brought us up with what goes on in my house stays in my house. You know, woman up, put your big girl drawers on. First of all, my dad didn't do that. You know, my husband didn't do that. Well, if you think about generational curses, it probably happened. It happened to my mother, happened to my grandmother, happened to my aunt. It was rampant in our generation. But this generation that sits in that room, we're breaking curses the more we talk about it.
Yes.
The more we tell the story, the more we share the legacy, and the more we honor the legacy. Because it's one thing to talk about it, but when you honor it, it does something different. It shifts the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And the atmosphere is set now for restoration and for healing. The lady with the dreadlocks, I need you to know you are festering and have a baby on the inside of you that will never be touched in that way. The curse is broken, and we have to honor the legacy, but honor the victory in the legacy. Because when you're victorious, that means the devil ain't got nothing on there, one of y'all in that room.
Yes.
It's done. And do not stop telling your story. Do not keep it a secret, because that's where the enemy got us all. He got us all twisted. Because the moment you tell your story is the moment that you become free. And the moment that you become free, you're going to free 30 other people. Tell your story. Tell it to the mountains. Don't stop telling it, and keep on telling it until the enemy gets so pissed off that he don't even know what to do with y'all no more. I honor you, queens. I honor y'all. When I say I honor y'all, I'm talking about get down on my knees and kiss your feet, honor you for being who God called you to be. And do not allow nothing or nobody, not no man, no woman, no female, no demon, no spirit, no nothing, to touch your future, your destiny, your legacy. Your legacy does not belong to no one but you. Empower others, pass on the torch, so that everybody else can rock their kings and their queens the way we're supposed to. I love you, ladies. Step up, step out. War has begun.
Calendria, thank you so much, beautiful. Thank you for your words. I greatly appreciate you. And just know we all gonna be knocking on your door when we finish here. So just go ahead and open up the house, put out the colors and stuff, because we spending the night.
Open, baby. When you come to my door, you got coochie speech on, you got Horokan Gandules. Bring it.
Thank you.
Let's celebrate the fact that we have a legacy.
Right.
Yes. You are so right, and I thank you, and I'm so happy to be able to share this legacy with you now. So thank you.
Love you guys.
Take
Keep
care.
rocking.
Thank you, honey. Thanks for calling.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to, hold on. Okay, is it, no? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wanted to comment because I haven't in a while, but facilitate women trauma groups in correctional facility. And one of the biggest things that I've found is so many women in the system get strung out. They end up in prison because they've all been molested as kids, and one of the things, like for us, it's always everything's what's done in the house stays in the house. Like a lot of the women from other races that were in my groups, like they told and nobody believed them or nobody did anything. And I find myself, I would spend a lot of time like after group, like helping them write letters to explain how this affects them and how it still affects them, and helping them work through getting divorces because they've married some guy that's way too old that took advantage of them. I mean, and I have to teach them too is that like one caller said, like nobody's experience is less than anybody else's. I was like, because everybody's different, everybody reacts to trauma differently. So what may not be a big deal to you as an adult is definitely a big thing to a child, and I have to teach them that. So don't judge. Like this is a no judgment zone.
Right.
You can't compare your trauma to somebody else's.
Right.
And the biggest healing is being able to share. And what they found is that like their families is generational. Like the lady said, is generational.
Yeah.
One lady did not realize that what she was doing was wrong until she went to prison. Like all of her family, it was like everybody did it to everybody. That was how she grew up. It was so normal, And the one thing I commended her on, she did not mind telling her story in there. And you're in a facility where you go back to the dorm after group and you have to face these same ladies. Sharing what you did and what you've been through, and then the other worst part is so many women don't even realize that it's sexual assault or harassment. A lot of ladies come in my group and they're like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't need this. I haven't been, but they tested high. So they were put in my group. And, after my first session is I explain what it is. I give the different types of sexual assault and the different types of abuse, and all of a sudden they're like, I really do need to be in here. But it's so important. There's so many different types, rape, molestation, like intimate, like rubbing against, like the covert stuff that so many people get away with now.
Yeah.
I'm brushing up against your butt, Yes, and comments, inappropriate comments.
By the coochie.
Right. Oh yeah, that's the overt stuff. Right. And like I've dealt with a lot of the covert stuff, like inappropriate conversations. Right. And one person at the job where I was sexually harassed was doing that to me, and another lady got mad and tried to get me fired saying I was saying it. But I don't curse, and I've never, like, in public talk about sex. I don't even talk about it in my stand-up, right. And so she was so insistent on getting me fired, and I wasn't the one doing it. I was being harassed, right. You know, they pulled in everybody at my job that I talked to, and they were like, that's not what she says. That's not how she talks. But it's like all of it is covert. Like I don't need to know your sex life.
Right. Did you have a question real quick there before I get to Nicole and then Ty?
Yeah, I had a question. Like I said earlier, I came here thinking I had answers, but I'm actually learning more.
Right.
And I have a million questions, but this is the main one I noticed all night, and no one's mentioned it yet. While all of you are dealing with this trauma and dealing with these violations, what did the fathers do? Where are the fathers in all this? After it happened, could you tell your father? Were they there to protect you? Where are the fathers?
I had the same thing as
Indy.
Is I was scared if I told my dad was gonna kill somebody.
Yeah.
My dad had a gun.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want anybody to die. And that reminds me, one lady did watch her mom kill her abuser, and it jacked her. Like mentally, she is done.
But you know what? I think it's crazy mentally that we try to protect them for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, notice how we all scared to say their names or whatever for whatever it may happen. And it's like, but I've been living in this crap forever. You know, God willing, I'll be 40 in July. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like, again, I was talking to another friend. It's like, I hate the way I look. I hate the way, to look at myself. You know, people say, oh, you pretty or whatever. And I would look at people and I'm like, okay, thanks. I dress like a boy. Like, I dress the way that I feel. And I feel ugly all the time. So I try to dress ugly. Like, I may be a size 13, 14. I will wear a 16, 18 pants and okay. I don't have no booty or nothing like that. So I constantly look like I done, crapped on myself or whatever. But I don't care because I feel ugly. Like I like she said, I feel worthless. I feel like nothing. And, when I talk to her and she was like, well, I'm a good, well, not good, but, I've talked and I've tried to move past this. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to shut up because I'm crazy. Okay, well, apparently something is wrong with me. Just like I still grieve very hard on my parents. And my sisters have told me, you need to get over it. And I'm like,
did your fathers notice a difference? Like, did your fathers look at you and say, you know what I mean? Because I have a daughter and I want to know.
What you know.
Yeah,
right.
Like.
She probably won't tell you. If it happens, she probably won't tell you.
Yeah, and I grew up in a single parent household, so I was more comfortable with telling my mom. My dad was in my life. I just felt more comfortable telling my mom. So I don't really tell him.
I don't think mine noticed any difference, but I was uncomfortable being alone with guys and jittery, but I felt like nobody noticed that. Well, no, they noticed, but they didn't attach it to that. I was known as the kid that was scared of her own shadow because I was petrified and like over zealous in watching my back. Like, I'm so good at keeping people away, I have a hard time getting in relationships.
Right. So I feel like it's either if you're in a single parent home, then of course the dad don't know. But if you got a daddy, you don't want to tell him because you're afraid what the daddy gonna do, basically.
So you think you're protecting the father?
Pretty much, yeah. Just like you protecting the predators for whatever reason. Now, Nicole, I want you to, go ahead, of course, say anything that you need to say. But I also want to talk to you because your child had the experience that. At the age of 3, I think you said earlier. So, of course, I don't know if you want to go any more in depth. I don't know if you want to go any more in depth with it. But again, I want you to say whatever you had on your mind to say, and then I want you to get into for her.
I'm a true believer in share your scars so other people can heal. That was what was spoken over my life in the process of my daughter and during this process. So I do have a Me Too. However, my He Too, I healed. I had a process. So the Her Too is the thing that's big for me. And so at 3 years old, my daughter was being watched by what I consider to be a godson, which was also a cousin to my ex-husband. We were living in the same household. He watched her while I went to school. She came the next morning. And she ran in the room, and to know her, she would control this whole room. Her spirit is still just that way today. And she said, "Mommy, I licked Bingo's penis." And I said, "What?" If you would have asked me 24 hours, if somebody did something to your children, what would you do? My response would have been the same thing as everybody in this room. I'd kill them. I'd do whatever. And that is not what happened. I heard her. And I mind you, when she came to me, he was in the back room. He was still in the house because in her mind, she had not done anything wrong. But also she named parts that ultimately she couldn't have called it something else. So we went into the car. I asked her again. And as I said, he's my ex-husband now, but he was in the house. So I called him. Well, we were living together. I called. I didn't get an answer. He was riding on the lawnmower at work. I called him about 30 times and didn't get an answer. I'm talking to my daughter, remembering, because I have done mental health stuff, so remembering that I cannot change my face, right? Because I need her to be comfortable with continuing to talk to me. She's safe here. No matter the fact that I want to break down and go in this house and maybe kill him. But you've heard people say that God grants a peace that surpasses all understanding. That is literally what happened. And I took my daughter by her hand, and I went and confronted him. Not even, and I asked him, I said, I said, look, Michaela says that you did something inappropriate with her. And so he came with me with like, no, Mom, I meant to tell you that she was saying some inappropriate stuff yesterday. And I'm saying, so you could call me about frying some fish, but you couldn't talk to me about her inappropriate behaviors. I said, that's fine, we'll deal with that later. I said, so did you allow her to do this to you? And he balled his face up, and I know him because I knew him like he was my own. And I immediately knew. And when he said no, and she yelled at 3, yes, you did, I knew even more so. The hard part for me was the after. So because I just didn't know, the thought process is now I take her to the doctor. So we go to the doctor. Go ahead.
Now, I want to stop Nicole here really quick. Again, you're listening to Legacy Internet Radio, Metoo, the Big Secret. I had this discussion with Nicole, and what she's about to share now, again, parents, I need for you all to be aware. I need for you all to talk to your kids. I need for you to be nosy, okay? Seriously, because what she's about to share next, I feel like this is only something that I watch on Law and Order, SVU, seriously. And like I said, as Nicole is telling me this, like I am crying listening to her because just the thought of her baby, some of us in this room, if our parents, if it was, I guess, up to date back then as it is now, probably had to go through the same thing. And what she's about to share also says fear to me, fear for a parent. So I'm sorry, Nicole, I just wanted to get that out because I really need for people to listen what she is about to share.
So the protocol is to go immediately to the doctor. That was my thought process. Where do I take her? Where she's safe. So all of her, she's been to the same doctor for years. We went there. And we explained what happened. Their process is to actually have CPS come there immediately, but they trusted me. And so they made an appointment for the next morning to go and do a forensic. She was going to have a forensic scan. Anyway, so we get to MCV Pediatrics the next morning. They literally are holding my baby down to get blood draws, to swab her throat, to check her vagina. And I mind you again that she is 3 years old. That process endured. It took about 2 hours of just questioning, re-asking her over and over the same story that she said over and over. From there, CPS came there. They questioned both of us for another hour and a half to 2 hours. In the meantime, they gave us a teddy bear for her to hold or something. But I mind you now, we've been there for 4 hours, almost 5 hours. The next stop is to then go to Child Savers, where they do a forensic interview where she's in a room by herself for 2.5 hours, questioning her about the same event that she's talked about for the past 5 hours. To then say, okay, your next stop is the Commonwealth Attorney. To get there, for them to go through a test to see if her word will stand on a stand. Because see, that 2-hour interview that she did, that forensic interview that you see on Law and Order, is not admissible in court. So she has to be able, at 3, stand on a stand and hold her truth, not to waver at all, because the defense attorney is allowed to question her as though she is 35 years old. And if she messes up, then the case is thrown out. So it's up to the Commonwealth attorney to decide if they're going to even build a case. So because she wavered twice, they did not press charges. As a mom, I gave her a voice. So I called Channel 12, and then I also went back to the Department of Social Services for CPS. And my position was, so now what? Because so now we went through, and at this time there was a high turnover rate with CPS. I had about 4 workers in that time that came and did home visits, as though I had enough guilt already. because I left her there. But then you also gonna turn my house upside down and figure out a way to make me unfit, right? But then I couldn't get you to answer the phone call when I called. I had 4 workers, and the last worker that I had came into my house and said, oh, it probably won't be no charges filed. Because ultimately, all I'm trying to get right now is for him to be registered as a sex offender through the CPS registry. Because outside of that, nothing else can happen. At the time, he was 14 and she was 3. So I fought. I was on the news about 4 times. And the last time I called the news is when the lady sat in my house and said, oh, and she had just got the case that morning. And she said, I don't think that it's going to be nothing happen. I said, let me explain something to you. Get your shit, and get out of my house. And I then went down to CPS and I sat until I saw somebody's boss. By this time, it's almost been a year from the action. So she's still talking about it, having to be forced to remember it when I'm trying to have a healing to happen because you all are out of order. But I had to advocate for her. So I sat and I stood. And I did not leave until they signed the paperwork that said that he was guilty. And he had to be registered. He can appeal it. I would never know if he did. But for 18 years, he has to be registered as a sex offender in the state of Virginia. Because I decided she deserved a voice.
Amen.
Then she was molested at 7. And I refused to take her through that process. The level of trauma in this city means that there's a waiting list about your arm's length to get counseling. I believe counseling works. I believe that mental health is strong in all communities, not just African American. I think across the board, mental health is a big deal. And so that's where we go, but we pray. We know the process. We continue to reaffirm her. I'm not telling you not to take your children through the process. I'm saying that I endured it. It is hell. And I would not treat her as a victim to be a victim again. And that's my process. However, I will advocate for her daily. So every teacher that she's had, that's a part of her story. It doesn't define her. I need you to know this. That's not the definition of Michaela. But this is who she is, and this is what has experienced her. These are the things she's experienced. She's a dancer. She's a cheerleader. She's a praise dancer. I did not stop her life, even when I wanted to, because I was uncomfortable, because I held the guilt, because I messed up. At least that's how I felt. Even to this day, because the second time I was upstairs in the house. She went to go get some cereal. It was something, she do it every day. She has 3 brothers. That's just what we do. And this one day, I should have got up, was my thought process. I should have gotten up, and I didn't. And I failed her again. And I cried for 3 days. And she came to me, and she said, Mom, you got no more excuses. That's my business. She said, well, today we just got no more tears. No more tears. Mom, we can't cry no more. She's 7. And a resilience out of this world. Does that mean that some of her stuff may look like she fast? You may call it fast. I'm going to change it and make it be that she's a leader. See, I change what you say. I'm going to fix what you see. Because that will not be what you consider her to be. Because yes, most kids that are molested at 5 become addicted to sex by 17, addicted to women by 15. Anything that looks like, no, it won't be her. Because I say so. And if that means that I hold her hand and we go everywhere together, that's who I hang out with. If I make my house be the house that all of the kids come to because now I know it's safer for her, that's my choice. But I would not allow this to take away her life. I share not because I need a kudos or a pat. I share because it saves me from not drowning. I share often because when I wanted to give up as a mom and I did not feel like I was enough, it continues to reaffirm that this process has to happen for the greatness that's coming. I call my children to be great, which means I ultimately said all adversity is welcome. Because who can be great without adversity? That's why I say you're great. That's why I say you're amazing. Because you would not endure any of that to bring you to this place. A platform to heal in a room. For women to break and release themselves from chains. If you go back and read the comments of the women, the lady said, this is my story too. she would have not been able to experience that had it not be that you gave a platform for it. You are more than you believe. You are braver than you think. You are greater than you think. And you will be great because you're going to walk in greatness, period. Because you are going to leave it here. And then you're going to use it as a platform to keep walking to go greater, to go higher. Not to fall underneath, because ultimately we've given the predator too much gratitude, too much responsibility. They've gotten too much. When the ultimate thing was for you to stand and for you to be.
Amen. Amen.
Wow. Wait a minute, what is her name? Reverend Nicole? Wait a minute, let me go ahead and get this back. Where is the offering plate? Get the donation box, Marcus, because we're going to pass. I love you.
I love you more.
I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Now, Miss Ty, I'm ready for you, my beautiful. We are ready for you. We are all here for you, just like we're all here for each other. So when you're ready to hear your story.
Okay. So my story didn't start out like everybody else's. I had a really good childhood for the most part. My grandfather and my grandmother made sure, because I was the only baby in the house. So my childhood was what it was. It was a good childhood. I had some things happen between the year I was 16 and 17 that kind of made me realize I needed to get away from Philadelphia. I had to go. I got molested. Well, not molested. I got raped when I was 16. And I couldn't tell anybody in my house because I didn't know who did it. So it was no purpose in telling anybody because I had no face. I had no way to tell anybody who it was. But at the time, I knew it was time for me to go. I had to leave everything behind. And I signed up to join the military. So I'm 17, I graduated high school, I'm leaving, and I get my orders. I go, first time, we had to wear our uniforms back then. Now you can't because, you get in trouble. They could spot you in the airport, they could do something to you. But back then, it was a badge of honor to wear your uniform. Right. So I had my uniform on, I'm going to LaGuardia. I'm in New York. First time by myself, we had a layover. Then my flight got canceled. So it's me and about 7 other kids, and because we're all kids at this point. We're all right there. They say, hey, we're going to put you up in a hotel because most of us were going overseas. So I was slated to go to Korea, but I had to go from Philly to New York and then from New York, yada, yada. So I get to the desk. We all waiting for, for whatever hotel we're going to be assigned to. It was one van, and we all get in the van, and this one guy is like driving us all over. So it was me and one other girl that was left. So it was 2 of us. We was all buddied up. And she was like, no, I'm going to stay with my friend at another. She said, I'm going to stay with my friend at another hotel. So that left me by myself. But now, from where I am at the one hotel, it's another hotel. I can see it. So I'm like, oh, well, we just going over there. It's no problem. I never made it to that hotel. I kind of waver with as much of the memory as I have or I've allowed myself to have of this incident. But I remember us pulling up. I'm thinking I'm getting out. He said, no, stay there. I'm going to get your bags. And then when I went to get out, I remember getting hit. I don't remember much. And then when I guess I came to, it was something warm. And it was my own blood that I was feeling, and it was running down my face. I felt pain. And I don't remember much else. I was told that I was gone for like however long. And they found my grandmother because I had no identification. I had nothing other than my uniform on. They had a last name but no first. That was that was January. I didn't wake up until March. So 2 months of my life I don't remember. Now, certain people know this part of my story, and not everybody does. So for the first time, everybody will know. My oldest child is a product of me being assaulted. Now, the way God works, my baby boy doesn't look any different from his brother or his sister. The way he works, my son is autistic. So he never had the question of where is or who is. The way God works, he brought me a man, even at a young age of 18 and 19, which is my husband now, who saw past my scars, who sat there and watched me in the corner cry my heart out because he went to touch me, and I nutted up. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to act. The first man my son ever saw was my husband. My son couldn't talk. He hadn't said no words. And when he walked in the door, the first words he stuttered out was, Daddy. That man that I am married to has sat there through so many nights of me having flashbacks. He has sat there through so many different moments of me relapsing. I still can't watch Law and Order SVU. I can't watch Precious. Baby Boy was like a good movie or whatever, but it was a point where you had to cut it off because I can't. For as strong as I am and everything that I fought to overcome, I still can't have a guy or see it on TV attack a female. We fast forward. I'm in Richmond. I live here now. Whoever the guy was apparently kept track of who I was. My mother, I won't blame her, but for so much. But this guy came to my home, my grandmother's home, and said he was going through his 12-step program and he needed healing. My mother gave me my phone number because she was like, oh, he must have been a friend. I don't remember his facial features. I don't. But voices you don't forget. Yeah. They're like songs. They're like food. They bring back memories. I was driving on 95. My phone rang. It was a 215 number. Burner phones in Philly is the thing. Figured it was one of my cousins, so they called me. I answered the phone and I heard his voice. I almost crashed the car. For the first time, my son was 16 years old. I hadn't heard that voice. I hadn't had to live that part of my life for 16 years. And it all came back as if it happened right then and then. I was sitting in a pool of my own blood again. My husband had to come and get me off the highway because I couldn't even move. I was paralyzed. I couldn't go. My story and how I am and how I've gotten past so much was to suppress everything. I pull it out if you needed to hear it. But for the most part, you don't need to know. I'm tough. I'm good. I got this. I don't. I have many moments where I'm by myself and no one can reach past that cloud that I put up, past that wall that I built, because I won't let you. Right? Like you, I push people away from me before you get too close because you got an ulterior motive and I don't want you that close to me. Right? I don't have girlfriends like that. Like I've watched on Facebook, some of my friends, they friends from second grade till now. And I'm like,
Really?
right.
I can't.
But some of my best friends have come as an adult. God has positioned angels in my life, and that's the only way that I can call them, is because they came at my darkest moments and they rode out that storm, and they have the umbrella. And when I do vent, they have the bat, and they like, my shoes at the door, just say word, and we ride. And I know I've been there for other people. But 17, and I'm 37 now, and it don't matter, because that pain, that dirt, I don't think I washed or scrubbed my body. I tried to take every bit of color off of me because I couldn't get clean. And I have a daughter. And I promise you, I pray over her every day. I've taught her how to fight, how to carry, but at the same time, I still couldn't put my insecurity on my child. I couldn't let her live through my lenses and not trust people. But I'm going to tell you, this right here was what I needed. This was healing on another level, because you write it out. You talk to one person and you get it all. Yeah. But then you still have to go back to yourself. Right. And the bottom of a bottle ain't the answer. Right. I can't get no higher than the cloud until I see Jesus. Right. So, I mean, you know, so it's like, at what point do I turn to a substance? And then when you do, you look like, that's a damn plant, yo. It's a plant. Okay, I can't with this plant no more. Right. But it's
peace to the plant.
It's peace. If it's burning and I'm walking past it, I'm not gonna stop. You know, I'm not gonna run away from it. I'm gonna stay there because the Lord put that all herbs. You know, and I'm a chef, so I'm gonna tell you.
Stir it up.
I ain't found a way to bring God's wonderful work into the food. Not petitioning, but just saying, this right here, you have to find your voice, and you have to find your laughter. And like the lady on the phone said, like I take my hat off to her, because everybody's pain, everybody's story is so different. Yeah. But that young lady got one that made all of us open our mouth and go say, what?
Right. Yeah.
Say who?
Because I actually had to look at her. I was like, did I do that?
Yes. So that right there, it was just like, never minimize the person. Right. And never be so quick to judge a book because you're looking at a tattered cover. Because what I'm trying to tell you is some of the best stories is laid in between the pages of a tattered cover. But you just got to be willing to take and smooth the edges back. And that right there, that's my story. I won't judge you. And like, I've been thankful every day on Facebook. So my biggest one was the fact that I've learned how to forgive. Because I can't carry it no more. My back hurt. Mm-hmm. And I'm too young to have back problems and carrying other people's mess. And I mean, that's it. That's what I had. And I thank y'all for your time. I thank you for doing this. Thank you.
Girl power.
Yes.
Love you, boo.
And thank you for being here, for wanting to fix it. You know, because it's one of them things most guys won't. They shy away from it. Right, so the fact that you were proactive before anything happens to your daughter, before anything happens to your wife, because now that's another one. I'm married. I'm at the gas station. I'm pumping gas. And the dude comes up behind me to try to do something to me. He didn't know who he was messing with. Right. And when the cops got there, they couldn't tell who the victim was. But to go home, and because he hit me pretty hard, so I got a bruise right here and my shirt is ripped, to go home to my husband. And nothing happened other than physical violence, but at the same time, he was ready to go out there and I was about to lose my husband. Yeah. So the fact that you were proactive in listening to different stories so that you can help what you already have at home, or your sister or your cousin, I applaud you for doing that, because most men wouldn't step up. So we thank you for being here.
Most definitely. Yes, thank you. I love each and every one of you more than you know. But before I close this, I want to give each and every one of you an opportunity to say anything that you have on your heart that you like to say. If you want to give a shout out to anybody, you can do that too. But once we go around the room, then I'll say my final, and then we can all go home. Michelle,
Before I lose my battery
life, go ahead.
I want to present something to you. Either you can show me or her. I want to present something to you. God placed this on my heart when we had a conversation, and and I made a petition on Facebook to some people. Hey, I want to do a special makeover for somebody, and I got some calls straight away. So on behalf of Photography by Lachelle, Krista Lee, Makeup Artistry, Rashawn Bowler of Old Just Us Girl Mobile, Erica Venable of Deja Vu Hair Studio, and Onika Bristol of Onika's Closet. We are proud to present you this priceless award for your very special makeover. We want to applaud you for being a voice in the community for metoo. Presented to Miss Lisa Smothers, aka Lisa. And if there's anybody else out there who want to do something special for Lisa, she is an advocate in our community. She has a voice, and I want her to continue to use her voice. And I love you, girl. Love you.
I love you too, but I'm gonna get you later. So let me get myself together.
No, I'm taking you.
Indy.
I just wanted to thank you for your courage, your bravery. You know, we've had many conversations. And over the years, I never thought that it would lead to this. But I'm so glad that you came and talked to me that night and pulled me outside. I remember saying, why would I go outside? Do I have to get up? You know, but I'm glad you pulled me outside that night. And, you know, it's one thing to suffer in silence for years, but then to know that I was not alone and I was not crazy. And even though it was a horrible situation that happened to us, I believe that it occurred so that we can help other people and we can do it together as a family. And so I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And like every other person has said, we're going to leave this here and move forward empowered and empowered. Not allowing it to continue to hold us down, but we will walk in power. And I receive that for you, and I speak that over your life, and I love you, girl.
I love you
just
too.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Anybody?
I'm so mad at y'all. I don't know.
I literally just looked down at my phone, and apparently my husband has been watching. So message like that, it takes proud.
Yes. Yes. Love you, husband. Make sure you got some dinner ready. We need some dinner ready.
I just want to say, if there's anybody, and a lot of people, especially with the show going live, we have a lot of the same mutual friends. If you need me, I'm here. I found my peace through baking. That's what saved me. So, like, I was a nurse first, and I was a servant. I gave to other people all the time, but my cup was constantly depleting. And then I went from being, a nurse to being a chef, and everybody was like, that's backwards. Most people go the opposite for money. Money ain't it for me. It's not my peace. And I suffer with PTSD. So on top of everything else, I got a whole nother battle that I fight. And the only relief I had was baking. That was it. Like, cooking was it. And leading up to this, I went sheer crazy the day before. Like, I cooked every food group. Like, I literally, I bought stuff, but like, when y'all who have added me as a friend, you'll see I went sheer crazy. I cooked chicken, beef, salmon.
Yes.
I baked 3 desserts in one day, like, because I had to get out my way so I could be able to do this. And the fact that I know that there's somebody that's watching, there's somebody who is looking and saying, if she can do it, I can do it. Yeah. Take from everyone in this room, if we can do it, you can do it. Yeah. And of everybody in here, I take my hat off to you, Nicole. Oh my goodness. And if there's anything that I can do, maybe Michaela want to learn how to cook something with you. You know what I'm saying? We come over and we'll have fun in the kitchen to get that out, to give her another outlet, because that was my outlet. So if I can be of any service to anybody, I can get you on the right path. She can work you out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. And then she gonna make sure you smell good. Yeah, right here. We all got something. We all got something. Right. But I mean, and I needed to make somebody else laugh. I needed to hear laughter in the room too, because it got pretty here for a second.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I was able to do that, and I thank you so much for this.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too. Mr. Derek, any last words, my friend?
Yeah, I just received an education tonight, and you know, I'm thankful and honored that I was able to come. I believe I made some new friends tonight, but I've taught this at the jail. Evil is real, and the pain is real. You know, sin and crime does have victims. So we all, especially men, we have to spend more time healing women and understanding why things are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also helped me realize why certain women respond a certain way to me. There's always something behind it. Because even in the workplace, people treat you a certain way. You have to find out why. Be more understanding, compassionate, and forgiving. And also wait until they're ready and hate each other. It's a lot of hate going on, but hurt people.
Right.
So we have to turn that into a healing cycle.
So true.
And a compassionate cycle. And I was telling Miss Kia, when we're children, men, we do play certain games, and we do think it's funny. Somebody has to be able to check us. And I just want to say, men have to spend more time with younger men, teaching and correcting us. There has to be more men available. And I asked earlier about our fathers. There has to be more men to check us. Because when we play that game over and over again, we reprocess it and we begin to like it.
Right.
I remember certain situations that I was sharing with Miss Kia that girls set themselves up for it. And maybe they thought they couldn't escape it, so I'm going to play along.
Right.
And it's not right. But when it happens over and over again and nobody says anything, it becomes a culture.
Right.
And I also know, with my older son's 17, and I want to control his lust. I don't even let him watch music videos. Because when my daughter was born, I began looking at women different. And I caught my daughter twerking once. She never did it again because I stopped it. She did it once.
Yeah.
But I stopped it. But I also see, with the television pushes that lust in terms of men and predators. So we have to change the entire culture.
Right.
And I just want to say, whoever's listening, men have to be more responsible. Protect your house, protect your family, and check younger men. Because women can't do everything.
Right.
So,
I thank you so much again. I really do. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Miss Kia.
I just want to say, praise God that I'm healed, and that healing is possible. Like, you don't have to suffer. You can live life. Jesus came so we can have life and have it more abundantly. And by all of you sharing your stories, we're giving that to people. And I believe some of you in this room right now are beginning the healing process. Lisa, you don't have to live life like that. You don't have to be afraid. Look, you can judge me all you want to, but you got a friend tonight, okay? You can try to push me away all you want because, we're overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I just truly believe, I think what did it for me is just knowing my purpose and deciding I cannot let something that happened to me deter me from my destiny and purpose. I'm a preacher, so me not wanting to be in front of people or, attention, that's inevitable. So I couldn't let that stop me. And if you call to make people laugh, you can't. Somebody needs you. Somebody needs your gift. Somebody needs that laughter. Just think about that person that's on the verge of committing suicide. They need your stand-up comedy, and you can't let the enemy or anything that happened to you from your past, even though it's hard, and I know there's sometimes you have to push through something, but show